Hi, my name is Deborah Thomas, and I'm from a business called LifeYouChoose.org. My husband and I just began this business just recently, and we are hoping to have 50 or 60 life coaches work for us with an educational background. We feel like it's a unique opportunity for people to receive life coaching from teachers who have educated for many years, because we have learned how to work with people and find their strengths and help them to learn tools to help themselves. And so our focus is on teaching, coaching, and then inspiring others. Our mission is to help people to become the best they possibly can be. We do this by first teaching them to find their purpose, second, helping them learn to live their purpose, and third, helping them to be their purpose. This is when transformation really happens. So in my attempt to begin our business, I have decided to do a video series on some misery-making beliefs that people have, and I have discovered in some of my sessions with working with people. So this month we're going to focus on misery-making belief number 1, and that is, I'm afraid if I try, I'll fail or disappoint someone I love. So the fear of disappointing others can be a powerful negative emotion that can eat away from your own happiness. Fear can be scary and overwhelming, so we need to be able to go back to our gut instinct and rely on that. The more comfortable and good you feel about your own actions, the easier it will be to let go of the stress and fear of disappointing others. In the end, people may not be pleased with our actions, but this way we will be. So the first point I'd like to address is that we have to accept that we will never be enough in the eyes of others. You will fail at pleasing everyone. If your goal is to please everyone, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So my question is, do we please ourselves? The question is not whether we evaluate ourselves against others, rather the question is, by what stand do we measure ourselves? So it's time to let go of perfection, and that's when you can really start growing. We like the idea of perfection, kind of keeps us in a safe little world. But as soon as we realize that we're most definitely not anywhere near that, and we won't ever be enough in everyone's eyes, then we can start growing. And then we can let go of fear. The second point I'd like to make today is we have to really push ourselves out of our comfort zones. And in this quarantine, I've learned the first week was nice in my pajamas watching movies. So nice to not have to follow through on anything. It was just wonderful. But at some point, it gets stagnant. And comfort stands in the way of growth. A comfort zone is nice and comfy, but it stands in the way of your growth. You can't move forward and stand still. We can't ever move forward and go further if we stand still. And that's exactly what you do in a comfort zone. We have to learn to conquer fear. And the way you conquer fear is to push yourself through difficult situations. Sometimes the only way to conquer fear is through pushing yourself through those uncomfortable situations that seem scary and out of our comfort zone. For example, me making a video and using dramatic effects. My family is all into theatrical performance. I'm a classical music performer, and I can be more serious. I don't have to have facial expressions and all of those things that are required for a video. And so making a video is definitely stepping out of my comfort zone. But what I care about more is following what's inside of me, and that is reaching out and helping other people, one person at a time. And so that is how I'm able to step out of my comfort zone. It's important to start small. Start out with something that's small. It can be a task that you've been putting off, because the whole idea of this scenario makes you feel uncomfortable. So whatever that task is, the minute you do it, it's going to change you. Taking a step actually creates relief and gives you greater strength each time you take a step. Even when you just push yourself to do one little thing, you'll be left with a big relief and feel much stronger, because 9 out of 10 times it's never as scary or uncomfortable as we had imagined in our head. I heard one time that anxiety is excitement on pause. So the minute you press pause and change it into play, then it becomes excitement. Conquering equals a desire to challenge yourself more. After you've felt how good it feels to conquer your fears, big or small, you'll automatically want to challenge yourself more and more. The third thing I'd like to discuss is that we need to learn and be able to analyze our own behavior. We need to be able to step back and say, why was I reacting like this? Where is my fear coming from? Do I get anxious about it, and why? The way we react to others is often more about ourselves than them. We shouldn't personalize people's reactions. We have to reevaluate our own values. A good example of this is when I started getting older and my daughters got married. I have all these new son-in-laws. I thought that they were going to think I was amazing. But it turned out that they are used to their own mothers and the way their mothers managed their lives and their homes. And so when they came into my home and things weren't the way that they were when they grew up, it was a shock to them. And the reactions were just natural. It just was uncomfortable. And so at first I personalized that, and then I realized I need to see their side of things and evaluate what I can change to help them be happier in my home. Not that I have to change myself, but what can I adjust so I can follow my own values? And my values would be that I want to show care and love for other people. So of course I would want to make some adjustments to help them feel comfortable in my home. And they're attached to my daughters, who are their wives, and my grandchildren. I would love to have them all in my home. So in order to have them be there and be happy, I would need to make adjustments with each of these son-in-laws in order to make that happen. Another thing we have to do is evaluate our own security. Do we tend to feel secure and close to our partners or our family while we respect their independence? It's always important that we give them the space that they need. Another thing we might consider is, do we have anxiousness and insecurity? Do you tend to feel unhappy in your relationships and sometimes act possessive of your partner? Do you worry a lot that you'll lose your significant other, who you depend on for your happiness? So one thing I have learned is that you shouldn't depend on other people for your own happiness. And that comes from that insecurity, anxious feeling. There's also something called avoidance or insecure avoidance. This is when you tend to put distance between you and yourself or your partner. You put distance between you and whoever you're trying to build a relationship with. And we do this sometimes because something that's happened in our past. For example, my father is not a big part of my life right now. And there was a certain time in his life that he kind of stepped out of that role as my father. And when that happened, then it, of course, caused pain. And then it causes a natural reaction. So when you're with someone else, maybe you're not willing to put your feelings or emotions out there because you might be rejected. And so sometimes we start avoiding them so that they won't avoid us, because we'd rather protect ourselves before it happens. And this is hard to live with. When you're living with someone who has that avoidance behavior, it creates kind of like a negative tone in the home or with whatever relationship you have. And really, you're just stagnant. You're not moving forward. You're just stuck. And this is not the other person's fault. We have to change our own actions. And insecurity, disorganization. Sometimes we have difficulty trusting other people and experience a variety of fears, including getting too close to your partner or being too distant. So your emotions tend to change quickly, which keeps you in a constant state of confusion. The best thing that I can think of to show this would be when I observed new student teachers. They came into my classroom to teach my students, and my students who normally act pretty well were misbehaving. And there was chaos in the classroom. And I really discovered that the person who was teaching did not have a sense for themselves of what they should be like. They were trying to please me, but they had to think about, what are my values in the classroom? What are my expectations? And the minute that that happened, then the classroom became calm and the chaos and the disorganization left. So I hope that you enjoyed some of this information. If you like access to it, you can contact me in the website. Just send me a message, lifeyouchoose.org. Remember, the first misery-making belief is, I'm afraid if I try, I'll fail or disappoint someone I love. Next week, we'll be talking about boundaries, setting personal boundaries. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Take care.